Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nick Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Angel Flores. Angel is a multifamily broker in the DFW area. I've known him for several years. I've just been bouncing things off of him. I'm really excited to chat with him and see what he has going on in his life and see how he's been able to just make a lot of great strides in the multifamily world. Angel, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Can you let our listeners know a little bit about you and what you've been up to?
Sure, man. Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate this great opportunity. Like you said, I'm a multifamily broker here in DFW, primarily focused on 50 to 150 units, C-class multifamily. Done a lot of deals in DFW, but also in Waco. Not too many other secondary or tertiary markets, primarily focused on those two. I'm from Arlington, so I'm from DFW, and I know the area pretty well, and just trying to make it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's been multifamily's kind of been, I think, on the down slope, but I feel like we're coming up now. It's starting to swing up and seeing more activity, especially I think after we're hitting the Christmas time now, so that's going to slow things down. But then first of next year, I really anticipate things to take off. Out there in the real estate world and multifamily, there's a lot of different brokers and competition out there. What's something you feel like sets you apart from some of the others?
I think that there's a lot of brokers, and there's about 5 shops that have the majority of the business in the area, but a lot of them don't do really well, like with the small family like type deals, like less than 50 units. And even though I focus on 50 to 150 units, I think that a lot of those smaller deals have been a little bit easier to get through the finish line, just because it's a little bit less of a capital raise, and it's more either not necessarily doctors or lawyers, but somebody that's in high tech that can be able to afford something smaller, like maybe a 20 unit deal or a 30 unit deal. So I think a lot of the big brokerage shops have a little bit of trouble really trying to not get those deals done, but just really focus on the owners themselves and getting them the maximum value that they could get.
No, that makes sense. If somebody's bringing all the capital or the bulk of it themselves, it definitely gives a lot better surety of close than somebody trying to raise in the current environment. So what is as you have you been in multifamily real estate since you graduated, or did you do anything before that?
Man, no, I've done a lot of different things. I was in the Navy.
Cool.
Right out
Thank
of high
you for
school.
serving.
Yeah, no, thank you. Right out of high school, I was in the Navy. I enlisted. I did 6 years. I did the nuclear program. So it's much different than what I do today. And I actually got the GI Bill and went to college here locally at UTA and got my degree in chemistry and worked as a process engineer for about 4 to 5 years. And then I got into sales. I got into chemical sales, kind of matched up with my chemical background. All in all, I did all that stuff for about 10 years. And then I read a book like a lot of other people do and just started reading more books about investing and real estate, and got into some workshops, I think we met through I think Brad Sumrock. And so I started doing a lot of that, and I was investing in multifamily while I was working, and started buying single families at first, and then got into small multifamily, like a 14 unit and a 38 unit. And then eventually went a little bit bigger than that through syndication, after going through Brad's group. And at some point, it just made sense to switch to just do real estate full time. I quit my corporate job and sold real estate rather than chemicals at that point. And I still invest, but more, I think there hadn't been very many buying opportunities or at least I didn't buy anything in the last maybe 3 years. The last deal I bought was in Waco through partners, through syndication. And that one's done really well. We refinanced that one last year and pulled some money out, which was a little bit different than we thought we were going to sell, but it just made more sense to do a refi. And yeah, and then just focusing on brokering, apart from that, and just like I said, focusing in Dallas and Waco.
Awesome. My wife has got a degree in chemistry also, but
Oh
she's
yeah,
never. She's planning on going to medical school, but decided once we're having married, going to get married and have children, she's like, I don't want to run up, $250,000 in debt, and then want to be able to, have that handcuffed to me. So
yeah,
she went into sales similarly, and then she stayed home with her kids for a while, and then she's done some teaching. Now she helps support the real estate side, but
okay,
she taught at the where my kids went to school. She taught a middle school science. It's kind of a blend of chemistry and physics together. So
okay,
yeah, she's
yeah,
a chemistry degree also, but has
it's,
not never really applied it.
Yeah, yeah, same here. I think that chemistry is just one of those degrees like math. You don't have to stick in chemistry. I mean, I think a lot of people do want to work in labs and stuff like that, but I really wanted to be outside. Really, I think that the reason I chose chemistry, it just seemed the easiest to me, like just made the most, I don't know. I thought physics was really hard and I couldn't do physics or math. Like it just, I mean,
That's
I could do
interesting.
math, Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, but after that, I was like, I don't think I can
See,
do it.
I loved physics. I was a physical therapist before I got into commercial real estate, so I had to have physics as one of our required classes, and I loved physics. It clicked for me. Chemistry, I had to work I never took organic or anything beyond the first two
Yeah.
semesters, and then thinking of organic, I'm like, oh my goodness, this just. But my wife says organic was easier than the others, just for her at least.
Yeah. But it's like, I think it gives you that
Critical thinking, or
analytical,
yeah,
yeah, for when we look at apartments, a P&L makes a lot more sense, the income, expense
sure,
statement, stuff like
yeah,
that. And just
processes.
concept, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, speaking of that, is there something that you feel comes easier to you that others might find challenging?
In the multifamily world or in
Yeah, or
investing.
anything, mostly multifamily, or just as you've gone worked your way through your career.
I think that I've been privileged, or I've been like, there's some things that have happened to me that probably hadn't happened to other people. Is just like when I drive by a certain place or a certain apartment complex, and I'm like, I'm going to sell that thing. I'm going to get involved and sell it. And, a lot of those have come true. And I don't know if that comes to other people or not, but it's just something that, and I don't do a whole lot of deals. I mean, there's brokers in the market that are doing 20, 30 deals a year, where I'm more in the 5 to 10. But I really focus on the client, and I really focus on, doing the best for them. And so, I've heard a lot of other brokers really try to strong arm a lot of sellers into forcing a low ball offer just to get the deal done. And,
Sure.
I'm not like that. I really want to respect, what the owner wants to get from the deal, and just, really, really try to serve them that way.
Awesome. Yeah, I think and that's comes back. That's kind of a relationship thing. I think getting to know what your seller is wanting and what best serves them.
Yeah, exactly.
So if someone is listening and wants to get better at, communicating with people or selling, do you have any suggestions for them? Do you have any books or podcasts, anything you've recently digested that you would recommend?
Oh man, I think that there's a lot of books. I think there's one, Rod Samasanto. I think that's how you say his name. And he his one of his books, I can't remember exactly what the title is, but it's something like, "If you know but don't do, you don't really know." Or maybe that's a Brad Sumrock thing, but it's brokers who brokers who know. It's along those themes, and it's really just doing the work. It's really just, a lot of people can say that, oh, I know how to do this, or all it takes is this. But if you're not doing it, then you don't really know. And that's what that book talks about. Is just like, you've got to make the calls. You've got to. The more you talk to people, the more comfortable you're going to get at talking to people. And if you don't do it
Sure.
very often, then you're going to stumble. And I find that with myself. Like, it's early in the morning today, and I'm stumbling, right? Um, and that's kind of the way my calls go too. I in the morning, I kind of struggle with phone calls, but typically by the 15th or 20th call, I'm a little bit smoother and I'm a little
You're
bit
in the
better.
groove.
Yeah, you kind of hit the groove, and I think that goes along a lot with that saying, and with that
Yeah,
book.
it's being in the game. There's that quote I think from Theodore Roosevelt about the arena, and I'm not going to try to. You got to be in the. It's a man with the dirt on his face, and it's a, marred, and you may get beat up some, but you got to be in there to achieve. You got to be in the game.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I messed up that book.
No worries.
But it's somewhere along that,
Yeah,
somewhere.
I wrote. I am. I'll try to Google it when we're done, just to see if I can get it out. That sounds interesting. So, what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career path?
I kind of briefed it a little bit earlier when, trying to make the sellers whole. I think that there's been some gaps that we haven't been able to bridge. I think getting some deals, you thought were sellable, and you underwrote it, and that it's going to sell, and then at the end, the offers come in, and they're not where you thought, and then you really realistically probably, a lot of times it's, we have to work both sides, and the sellers just haven't been flexible,
Yeah,
really
I
seeing
would.
where the market's at.
Yeah, and then some of them may have their loans at a certain. They got to hit
They
at
can't do
least their loan plus a little bit of fees, at least the loan, and then offers are coming in below that. I think that's some of the stuff coming out at 21, 22, or I read an article that showed that some of the stuff bought in 21, most of the stuff bought in 21 and 22 is somewhere between 15 and 30% under value, less value than it was when it was purchased. So yeah,
right.
if you're 30% below your purchase, you probably got a 20 or 25% loan and plus some capex in there, you're going to be upside down.
Right. And, and it's a little, it's psychological too, because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, prices were just at a different level. And even
Yeah,
owners that have owned properties for a long time that bought them for 20 a door, are still expecting 2022 prices when, prices have kind of dipped. And also, I mean, lenders have gotten more picky too. I mean, getting a deal done uh, through Fannie Freddie's, they've gotten a lot stricter. Just DD's been gotten really important. So I think just all those aspects have.
for sure. Well, yeah, and Fannie and Freddie are tightening up even on existing deals where they're a lot more particular on the property inspections and things that had passed are now flagging properties. So yeah, that can be a bit of a challenge as and they're trying to protect their assets, keep them, but it and that's but you got to be in the game, right? And
Yeah,
I found your book, Knowing Isn't Doing,
knowing
building,
isn't.
building the business and the life you desire.
There you go.
Does that
Yeah,
sound right? Where's that? I Santo Masio.
and
Rod
so
Santo. Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to put it
I
on
know it's
my.
hard to say.
If you were close, hey, that's a challenge one. Thank goodness for Google. Well,
Yeah,
it sounds like things are going well for you and your business, and I know you've been involved in some passive investments, but a lot of successful entrepreneurs start looking towards the future and thinking about creating some kind of a passive income to either
yep.
enhance or replace their active. What are your thoughts on passive income?
Well, I think, we've been talking a lot about the challenges with multifamily and, a lot of those things, but there's a lot of tax benefits to owning multifamily. And also because prices have dipped, I think that it's a really good time to get in, to get into multifamily and buy something. The basis is starting to make a lot more sense. Loans have gotten a little bit cheaper, in the last few months, and I don't know if we're going to see any more relief on the 10-year. I mean, I think I've heard a lot of that's kind of priced in at this point, but I
Mm-hmm.
still think that multifamily's a good investment. DFW is primed for continued growth. I think that we've grown a lot already, but we're just in a really good market to buy. So yeah, I'm searching for my next deal right now. I mean, I think that there's some good opportunities out there. There's foreclosures that are, a lot of lenders that are selling their multifamily, their deals at basically the loan value. Now, whether you and I or a lot of other investors are going to be privy to exactly those deals,
Mm-hmm.
I think those are going to be to select people, but that's still going to bring down the overall market pricing to where
Sure.
it's going to be a good opportunity for all of us.
No, for sure. I think it's definitely, if a good time to be investing. Cap rates have expanded, and and like you're talking about DFW, we'd had a lot of new supply that's kind of paused
Mhm.
rents growth, but we still have a tremendous population growth into Texas, DFW specifically, and
Yeah,
that's going to, the construction has slowed down dramatically, so that
yeah,
once that new supply is absorbed, we'll start seeing some rent growth again and see some of these properties values start coming up. So if you can buy now, we're somewhere at the bottom of that cycle. We don't exactly where, but definitely appears to be that we're on the downside. Start
yeah.
going up soon. Awesome. Well, as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
Man, I think my kids are a little bit older, and my son's graduating. And a lot of my time, the last few months, and probably the next few months, is just kind of watching him and what his next step is going to be. He's really wanting to get into military academy.
Oh, awesome.
So he's applied to the Naval Academy and Merchant Marine Academy. He's got an ROTC scholarship already, and so we've been visiting colleges and went to UT Austin, and I think that's, his ROTC scholarship was designated for San Diego, University of California at San Diego, because he plays water polo and was wanting to get into. They were really big into water polo over there.
Sure.
But then we visited the campus and we visited UT, and he just felt a lot more welcomed at UT
Oh, nice.
than he felt, and it just felt more like family. And so he chose that as his backup. So that's his backup if he doesn't get into the academy. But yeah, I've just been really busy doing that and just visiting colleges and getting a better idea for I'm kind of living vicariously through him because I did I like I said I enlisted. I didn't have those opportunities. I
Sure.
just want to give them to my kids.
That's awesome. And UT's probably the only do they have a varsity water polo team, like a
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's varsity. They do,
club?
but it's a club. Yeah, they don't
Okay,
have.
because I was thinking A&M had a club. It's mostly West Coast, East Coast that has water polo, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That we have friends that live in Austin. And all three of their kids played water polo all through high school. They a lot of the high schools down. Well, I guess you guys are you're in Arlington still, or somewhere in DFW.
I live in Rockwall.
Rockwell. So yeah, and just to have water polo for high school kids is unusual. I mean, not
It is.
extremely, because our friends will come up here for tournaments and stay with us sometimes when they're they have boys and girls that are doing water polo.
Mm-hmm.
They,
Yeah.
they live in Austin.
Okay. Okay. So you see it at your high school too, or at your
Not
kids?
not mine. These are friends that live in Austin that all their children. Their dad was a swim instructor, a professor at UT for many years, so they've just grown up in the water and water polo. So they're that's a hard sport. I had a couple of buddies at A&M that were on the club team, and those guys were, I mean, just swimming and throwing. Just they were fit
Yeah.
guys. Do that. That's awesome. And so good luck. I've got a sophomore at A&M and then a daughter that's graduating also. So we're in the middle of that for our second time of where
Okay.
we're visiting and figuring out where she's going to end up. And well, we're pushing, like, if you're at A&M, it'd be a lot easier to visit both of you at the same time. And but she's right now wanting to go in a different direction than what her sister is. So we'll see where she ends up. It'll work out. So that's always a fun. And this is your oldest
Yeah.
first path through it. Yeah. Lots
Yeah.
of fun.
My daughter doesn't want to do the military, but she kind of does a lot of the same things. She plays water polo as well, and but they're both in swim. And she's visited all these colleges, and her first choice was A&M also. So there's kind of a split there. So
That'll make fun
yeah,
for the game.
yeah.
Stuff. Well, Angel, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and join us and share tips and insights with our listeners and with me. If people would like to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
Either phone by email or email. Let me give you those. My phone number is 817-946-1458. And my email, hopefully it's not too difficult. It's aoflores92@gmail.com. And the 92 is my graduation date. And AO is my first two initials. So hopefully that's not too hard for people.
Yeah. Hey, everyone, reach out if you're interested in any multifamily stuff. Angel's been I've known him for at least 7 years or so.
Yep.
Excited to see what he's doing, and highly encourage you to reach out. And everyone, thanks for listening. Be sure to like and share the podcast. And Angel, thank you for joining. I really enjoyed getting to visit with you today.
Same here, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.